Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Jimmy Dore Show. I'm here with Ron Placone, and the political vigilante, Graham Elwood, is here. Look at those two fellas. How are you, fellows?
Good.
Now, Graham, what's happening?
What's happening? December 17th, out in San Bernardino, I'm directing this TV show. It's a FNX Native American stand-up comedy show, and it's got Jim Rule, Mark Yaffe, Laura House, and Sheila Chalicki. It's this Sunday, December 17th. If you go to GrahamElwood.com, you can get all of the ticketing info. Live TV taping, first episode.
Yeah,
All
buddy.
right, check it out. So if you're in the San Bernardino area, check it out. That'd be a fun show.
Yeah, we're doing 13 episodes. Steph, the Miserable Liberal, is going to be on one of them.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Do you have a name for this program?
We do, but it's under review currently.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay. All right.
Exclusive info here, folks.
Will you be able to find it on the net?
yes, you will.
Well, because we're talking about the net. Turns out net neutrality was just killed.
Ooh.
Now what? Now what? Well, according to Vice, before you throw your computer into a lake, rest assured this ain't over. In the days, weeks, and months to follow, honestly, even in the next few hours, the next phase in the fight to preserve net neutrality will begin. It will take many forms and will happen in several arenas, but it's only just begun. Here's what the fight will look like. This is according to Vice. Trying to get Congress to pull an emergency lever. The first course of immediate action will be for net neutrality proponents to pressure Congress to use the Congressional Review Act to pass a resolution of disapproval. This is a mechanism that allows Congress to overrule any regulations enacted by federal agencies. The next thing they could do. So I think that's very, very, very low possibility that Congress acts because, and here's why. Pretty much assured that all the Republicans are going to go along with gutting net neutrality.
Well, actually, there were some Republicans that actually sent Ajit Pai a letter urging him to delay the vote, not because they give a hoot about net neutrality, but because their constituents were so angry that they realized the political suicide this is, and they kind of had to listen. So
I mean, the Republicans seem to be doing one suicidal thing after another.
That's
Ron.
very true.
This tax bill, they should all lose their next election because they voted for this tax bill.
Mm-hmm.
Net neutrality, they should all lose the next election if they supported this.
It's not my first choice of a course of action.
Yeah.
I'm not saying don't try it. It's still totally worth calling your representatives, I think, because we got to try everything.
Trying, yes.
But yes, I do not think it's the most
here's
likely
why
one.
I say this, Ron, is because Pat Toomey, Democratic Senator Pat Toomey, he did all the bullshit language. Well, I'll show you. He said, like many Americans, I support an internet free from government control. While I understand the concerns expressed by those who support net neutrality regulations, I believe that such federal mandates would unduly inhibit the industry's investment in new technology and job creation. So that's a talking point straight from the internet service provider's PR machine. So I give you the double CK on that one, okay? Because that's complete lie. And Senator Pat Toomey knows that's a lie. He goes on, he says, moreover, the internet and online content have thrived in the United States without net neutrality.
Also a lie.
That's also a lie.
Also a lie.
So here's your elected official lying to you, hoping or counting on that you're too dumb to know that he's lying. So Senator Pat Toomey, a fucking liar. And he's lying about something that's of a monumental importance. So now you know why these guys we have to get rid of these guys. Now you know why we need a third party. This is a goddamn Democratic senator fucking lying. He's not wrong on the issue. He's just not wrong on it. He's lying to you about it. Lying, okay? Now, Rachel Maddow's not going to tell you that because she's paid to not tell you the truth about it too. But we'll tell you that here. And there he is saying it. Moreover, the internet and online content have thrived in the United States without net neutrality, which throws into question the need for more government intervention. No, we've always had net neutrality, liar, which is why the internet has thrived. Now you're changing it. So he's lying to you and gaslighting you, and I'll throw it over to my panel.
Well, to be fair to Senator Toomey, there is going to be some great job creation. It's going to be for the people taking care of the one percenters, polo horses, and private jet maintenance crews are going to get an uptick. It's just fantastic that they're so arrogant that they just can say crazy bullshit. I mean, when they first started talking about this last month, there's a subreddit page of NASCAR fans. They got pissed off. Pretty typically red state type of group. And they were like, wait a minute. They understand this is bullshit. They understand how this is going to hurt anyone who's doing any business on the internet in any way. This could affect you. Mm-hmm. And of course, it's always like, and the neoliberals that I interact with, they just think, oh, look what the Republicans are doing, which it is. This is largely a Republican thing, but there's still always a good enough amount of Democrats that let this shit happen.
It turns out just enough.
Just enough.
Just enough Democrats. There's always just enough Democrats to let to kill the reimportation of drugs from Canada bill, for instance. Just enough Democrats. There's always just enough Democrats. Go ahead, Ron.
Well, I was just going to add on that point. When I hear neoliberals patting Obama on the back saying that he's the reason we have net neutrality, that is such a frustrating talking point because they don't even realize you're parroting Ajit Pai. That's the talking point they use to say, well, we didn't have net neutrality until 2015 anyway, which is, again, not true, very misleading. But they're using that just to give Obama the credit, saying like, well, if we just had Democrats in the White House, we wouldn't have any of these problems, which, again, not true. But like that's just one of those things where it's like, no, we'd be fighting this fight anyway because we fought it before. Yes. And it wasn't like Tom Wheeler was some big proponent of this. He didn't want to do it. When they took the FCC to court and the FCC lost and the court system was like, all you need to do is designate it a Title II, Tom Wheeler was like, well, oopsie daisy, I guess we lost. And the public was like, no, you're going to do what we've been asking you to do since 2005 and you're going to make this a Title II. And then they crashed the website, so they finally did it. It's because of the people that we have solid net neutrality. We always had assumed net neutrality. We have net neutrality on the books because of the citizens. That's why. And the cool thing about this article, it goes from, in my opinion, the least likely solution, which is trying to get Congress to pull the lever, to the best solution.
So let's get that. So here's the next solution they offer. They say taking it to court. Lawsuits at this point are an inevitability. Mm-hmm. Pro-net neutrality and consumer rights groups will file lawsuits against the FCC in hopes that a court will overrule the decision. Both Free Press and the Electronic Frontier Foundation told me their groups are prepared to sue. So
Free Press already announced their lawsuit, and there's also a lot of states that are already proposing net neutrality laws. California is one of them. New York is one of them. A lot of folks were already prepared for this. The Attorney General in New York is getting ready to sue.
All right. So here's another one. Making our own net neutrality laws, though the FCC has stated plans to preempt state laws preserving net neutrality. Now, that's the thing about conservatives. They always want the decisions to be made at a local level. And as soon as you start making on the local level that go against their corporate overlords, they take that power away from you. Isn't that weird?
I know.
They're the ones who always accuse the lefties of wanting a nanny state and taking the decision and putting it in Washington, D.C. We're supposed to bring it right here back home. So when we do that, those hypocritical, lying, bought, corrupted Republicans switch. They just switch and go, nope, you're not allowed to do that. We're going to override you at the federal level. You want to help the people on a local level? We're going to make it not legal for you to help your own people. And guess what? The Democrats lose to these motherfuckers. The Democrats lose to that's why this is happening, because the Democrats suck so hard. That's why this is happening. Not because of Josh Fox or Susan Sarandon or fucking Bernie Sanders. This is because we had the biggest election fraud in the history of our country happen in the primary and pushed the most unwinnable candidate against the most beatable candidate in the world. That's why this is happening. That's why this is happening. Because the biggest election rigging in the history of our country was done to thwart the will of the people. That's why this is happening. So local lawmakers and community groups hope to protect a free and open internet at the state and local level. So we've talked about how Minneapolis provides free Wi-Fi all over their city. Free Wi-Fi. Look at that. Ron have talked about Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Chattanooga's been doing it for years. They were ahead of the curve. Yeah. Chattanooga, Tennessee.
And I think that was Ron and I were talking about this. That's I think the key is you were saying
municipalities providing internet.
Yeah, and why not?
So, because they're going to, in some states, at the state level, they've passed laws to make it illegal for local municipalities. That's how corrupted our electoral system is, Graham. That's how corrupted our politics is in America. Our government is completely corrupted. That's 100%. You're going to tell a city that they can't do something that would help people? Yes. So you could enrich a handful of people at the expense of millions? Yes. That's how it works. That's Democrats. That's Republicans. That's corporatism. That's neoliberalism. That's what we have right now, and that's why we have Trump. Okay. So it goes on from Vice. This will include state legislators introducing transparently pro-net neutrality bills like Washington State Representative Drew Hansen, who Wednesday introduced House Bill 2282, which would prohibit ISPs, that's internet service providers. When you hear ISP, that means the people who sell you access to the internet, like Comcast, AT&T, Verizon. Those would be the people.
All those stellar customer service hubs.
Yeah, you know the ones. Comcast, Spectrum, Charter, those people that just synonymous with customer service.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like if you could have a company most resemble the 1980s Russia era company, it would be the internet service providers.
Yeah, and I'm sure they're paying the people in those phone banks that provide that excellent customer service a great livable wage. I'm sure they're giving them good benefits and everything.
I'm sure they're not even in this country. Okay. So the bill, which would prohibit ISPs, internet service providers, from blocking any content or throttling service. When communities or local co-ops are able to build their own internet, they can demand that net neutrality be baked in, which not only preserves access to a free and open internet, but creates a market pressure on private competitors to do the same. So what we've been saying is, you know, the capitalists pretend they like competition, but they don't. Capitalists want monopolies, and that's just obvious because that's what this is, and that's why they bribe their state officials to pass laws getting rid of competition, right? So if we had a bank in the California that was run by the state, do we have a state-run bank in California? No, because if we did, the other banks would have to compete with it. But they don't, so that's why banks get to screw people over hard, because there's nowhere to go. That's what a public option was in healthcare. A public option was the government will provide your healthcare, and now private companies are going to have to compete with that actual good policy. And so it makes everybody better. That's actual competition. So what these guys want, we all know what capitalists really want is not competition. Capitalists want monopolies. And that's what they're getting. And who gets hurt from monopolies? Everybody, except the handful of people who the money gets funneled up to. That's why 6 people own more wealth than the whole goddamn universe. That's why. That's why Jeff Bezos is worth over $100 billion right now. Okay, the world's greatest predatory capitalist, Jeff Bezos. He also owns the Washington Post, has a $600 million deal with the CIA, and sits on a Pentagon board. But the guys who write for the Washington Post will tell you you're crazy if you think there's anything wrong with that. Those guys are geniuses, not hacks at the Washington Post. They are not hacks. They are not hacks, and they all have good skin. But...
Are we doing skincare tips today?
I will give some skincare tips.
Yeah, I love it. And it's so funny, too. It's what you said. You know, the Republicans are always saying, oh, you know, the Democrats bog us down in regulation. Let the market. No, this is not free market anything, what they want to do. They want to just make it monopolies. They talk this whole game of we got to let everybody just, you know, we'll let the market figure it itself out. No, you're controlling everything, and you don't want any competition on any level. It just fucking drives me completely insane what they do this. And time they hear words like community or co-op, man, they want to crush it.
Yeah,
because they don't want the people having any say in any of this shit. They want to feed them their bullshit, and everybody goes, oh, thanks. But this is the one thing I'm so impressed that, like, apathy is not winning, because the internet is part of apathetic America. So now you're going to take that one
Right.
teat, that digital teat away that has kept America dumb and plugged out. So if I can't watch my stupid fucking cat videos, then I'm going to get pissed off. This is the one thing that actually might wake America the fuck up.
well, and in some cases, literal teats, because people want their porn.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, people are, and that's what this article, getting back to this, like, it saved the best solution for last, which is municipal broadband all across the country.
It's amazing to see how they can corrupt and bribe their politicians to pass laws that make that illegal. That's unbelievable. I think they did that in South Carolina. Don't quote me on that, but it's one of those southeastern states that did that, where there was a city that passed broadband. They provided it. Everybody loves it. So they immediately got it to state to say no more of that. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, but we covered that story in Colorado. Where people are opting out of that now, and now they're building. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely, it's totally worth it, and I plan on doing it here. I'm going to a city council meeting, and I'm going to say we want municipal broadband.
So we're gonna do that. Bron and I both live in Pasadena, and we're gonna figure out how to. We're gonna call the mayor and whatever, and we're gonna try to figure out how to get this legislation introduced so Pasadena provides internet to everybody. And I think we might have a hard time because the mayor here is a little bit of a corporatist. But we'll see. It is Pasadena. We'll never know. We'll wait to see. But that is the future. That is the future. So, and the future for this show is you making sure you're still subscribed to it because everybody, I'm not kidding. People say not only do they get unsubscribed from our show, but they have trouble resubscribing. It'll come up error. So they're trying to, again, whatever's going on, they're squelching independent news, and that's their program, that's their idea, and they've changed their logarithms. I don't know if you've noticed, but MSNBC's videos and CNN's videos used to get 1,000 views, 2,000 views. Now I'm seeing videos from MSNBC and CNN on YouTube getting 700,000 views, 2.2 million views. Why? Because the algorithm that YouTube is using is pushing mainstream news now. That's what's happening, and it's suppressing stuff like this. So thank you for being a supporter. Make sure you're subscribed and click the bell. And then if you can, please become a patron, or you can go through PayPal. There's 2 ways to get our premium access. You can go through PayPal, you can go through Patreon, or you can just come to a live show, or you can buy a T-shirt or a mug or something. That's a great way to help support the show. You want to say something, Greg?
Yeah. I jumped from 6,000 to 6,700 subscribers, right, on my little political vigilante. And then in a day, right after this, it's dropped to 6,300.
That's
so
amazing.
I lost 400. I gained 700 and then lost 400.
400 people stopped.
In a day?
In the same day?
The day I dropped the net neutrality thing this morning when I dropped it, that's when I lost all the subscribers.
Really?
That video that jumped that got 1,000 views in an hour? Really? I find that hard to believe.
Well, what your video wasn't I hate net neutrality, was it? Or was it?
No,
it was
no,
a pro net neutrality video?
No, it was a pro net neutrality video.
There you go.
Weird.
The only thing that actually, getting back to this, the only thing that is actually, like you would think would stop the gutting of net neutrality is the fact that some of the biggest companies in the country are for net neutrality. For instance, Google. Google's actually for net neutrality. Facebook's actually for net neutrality. So how do those billionaires who, how do they so there's people fighting amongst each other in Silicon Valley. So
a bunch of people in Silicon Valley sent a letter. A bunch of them signed it and sent it to the Senate.
Uh-huh.
And it's amazing to me when I see a lot of these wealthy billionaires and wealthy companies that are in favor of net neutrality and they're getting pushed aside. This just smells like big, fat, deep state. This is the last place that they haven't controlled.
Well, you know what I say to a lot of those people, too? I'm like, hey, help out with some of these lawsuits then.
Yeah.
Netflix was tweeting, we're so disappointed with this. All right, well, then throw some money at Free Press or throw some money at someone. Help out with these lawsuits. Because, it's going to be a really hard sell for Ajit Pai to convince the courts under the guise of innovation in e-commerce that we need to completely gut the internet as we know it. Because that's what he's going to have to sell to the courts. That's not going to be easy to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, we hopefully that the judges weren't appointed by George W. Bush. That's all we can. And even Barack Obama, who knows? I mean, he's a corporatist, 100%. So who knows? Maybe these judges will go right along with the corporate line on that. I mean, but the problem is there are 2 different corporate lines, right? So there's the internet service provider corporate line, which is Comcast, right? Which is, they'll fire anybody who tells the truth about net neutrality. Have you seen Rachel Maddow's coverage of net neutrality? It is so unbelievably neutral. Talk about net neutrality. She's so neutral. She'll say things like, "Oh, this is a big deal," but she won't say which way it's a big deal. She'll go, "Oh, people are going to be protesting," but she won't say what they're going to, you know what I mean? It's such a mealy-mouthed coverage. And you know why? Because Rachel Maddow and Chris Hayes, they're paid to not inform you. And they do it gladly.
Well, she says it'll change your life.
It'll change your life.
And here's a list of things that would change my life. A comedy special. a medical emergency. Rest my case.
And you wonder why people get their news from YouTube.